It's no secret that tigers have captured the imagination of people across the world. But this is a story that unfolds a little differently. In the impregnable forests and open fields of Ranthambore National Park in Rajasthan, two motherless cubs battle for survival. And their survival seems uncertain until, inexplicably, they find a father, and the father finds them. Located around 180 kilometers southeast of Jaipur, Ranthambore National Park is home to around 40 tigers. By the last count, the tiger reserve has over 20 cubs. Muchli, the tiger queen of Ranthambore, is one of its most famous and photographed residents. She reigned over her kingdom for about 12 years, until she was driven out of her territory by her daughter, T17. But today, we look at a tigress called T5 and her two cubs. Their home is in the Kachida area of the park, with its rocky and low hills. The coterie draws plenty of attention, with tourists thronging the park every day, jostling to catch a glimpse of the family. T5's cubs are only about 2 months old and are both female. They will stay with her for about 2 years more, learning the ways of the jungle before breaking away and starting lives of their own. But the cubs have no idea about what lies ahead. They have absolutely no inkling of the events that will unfold and bewilder wildlife experts. It's February 2011, and there's trouble brewing in the wilderness of the valley. T5 is caught on camera, limping along the banks of a river. It's an ominous sign for a new mother. Forest authorities move in swiftly. T5 is tranquilized and operated on. The authorities will do all they can to pave their way for the family. A few days pass, and T5 seems well on her way back to normal.
So treatment was given, which was successful. Unfortunately for all of us, she did not last for too long. 10 or 12 days after the treatment was given, she seemed to recover. But then we realized that she went weak and she died just about 50 meters from the chowki of Kachida. All night long she was roaring and moaning, almost as if telling us that she's going.
Tragedy comes to the valley. T5's death from septicemia is a bitter blow, but worse is to follow. Her cubs, heartbreakingly dependent on their dead mother, have vanished. Search parties are organized, but there is no sign of the cubs. There is no sign of the family that once was. The cubs are believed to be 2 months old and are not equipped to survive in the harsh and unforgiving environment of the jungle. Kachida Valley, like any other area of Ranthambore, is also home to predators such as leopards and bears. And the cubs are easy targets. Tiger cubs typically stay with their mother for nearly 2 years until they're able to fend for themselves. But the cubs have lost their mother. They need their mother to teach them how to hunt, and now all they have is each other. It's been 3 agonizing days for the Forest Department team. Camera traps have been installed across Kachida Valley. It's hoped that the cubs have hidden somewhere in the vicinity, but they are nowhere to be spotted. Several search teams combed the area, but return empty-handed. Panic is mounting fast among the forest staff.
ऑब्जर्वेशन जो अपना रजिस्टर में है इसको लिखते रहना, खास तौर से वायरलेस में इन्फॉर्म करना, वायरलेस मैसेज दिया फिर हम इसको भिजवाएंगे.
Finally, at midnight, 4 days after T5's death, the camera brings good news. 2 frightened bundles of fur are seen to slink out of the darkness and drink water from a bowl placed by the Forest Department. It's a massive relief for the team, but there are too many unanswered questions that remain. With the mother not around, the cubs are on their own. One night, CCTV footage captures 2 full-grown leopards prowling around the area. Some nights later, at that very spot, a hyena is seen on the cameras devouring the meat which was placed for the cubs. The presence of so many predators in and around the cubs' camping ground means that every day is lived by the skin of their teeth. Initially, the senior officials of Ranthambore toy with the option of removing the cubs to a zoo, but later they decide to let Mother Nature take its own course. The cubs will stay in the wild, but with a little help from the forest officials. They will be supplied with food for the time being until they develop the capabilities to hunt their own meals. The cubs seem to have made their home in a cave nearby, sticking to the familiar curves and ridges of the valley. Cameras are set up to record their activities. Tender, boneless meat is provided at strategic intervals for the first 3 months. Later, they are given dead animals and birds. The cameras constantly pick up the cubs' movements, tracking their development in size. Four weeks later, the forest authorities decide to toss the cubs something a little more challenging. A live goat is brought to the valley. It's tethered to a tree trunk, but this is the cubs' first test of survival. This is the first time they're confronted with live meat, and this one is both alive and kicking. The cubs circle the terrified goat, assessing, positioning themselves on either side. Finally, after a few minutes' hesitation, one cub pounced on the goat. The second cub moves in and tears into the nearest limb. The goat puts up a fight, but then slumps. It's dead, and the cubs have just made their first kill. It's a momentous occasion for the motherless cubs, but prey in the forest is a lot tougher and wilder than a goat tied to a tree. The forest authorities might have brought them this far, but even they can't fill the massive gaps in the cubs' upbringing, gaps that only their mother can fill. It's a long and treacherous road ahead of them.
I hope that finally these cubs, they reach the age where they become adults and find their own territories. And since these are both females, they are very precious to us. Our park needs more females because our male tiger population is a bit on the higher side.
A bewilderingly unexpected benefactor steps up as protector in what appears to be one of the first cases of its type to be documented in India. On the night of May 14, one of the cubs is seen with a full-grown male tiger. Forest authorities soon identify the tiger as T25. An adult male presumed to be the father of the cubs.
One of the photo traps, it was noticed that a male tiger, T25, was seen in the area in which these two cubs were living. Still, vigil was kept, and later on it was found that T25 taking care of those cubs rather than doing any harm to them.
T5's abrupt and tragic death left her cubs alone, fighting for a chance. But now, 5 months later, the cubs get their chance with what can now be only called their father. T25 slips into the role of doting father with incredible alacrity. One cub is clearly more attached to him than the other. He teaches them crucial steps for survival, from taking down prey to scent marking the surroundings at regular intervals, establishing his and their territory. The cubs appear distinctly bigger now, almost like young tigers. One morning, a cub walks towards a waterhole when she is sighted by a young tigress named Sundari from a distance. Tigers can be aggressively territorial, and it's clear that Sundari's hackles have been raised by the presence of another tiger in her territory. She lifts herself and eyes the cub. The challenge clear. The cub meanders on, oblivious to the crouching tiger and an imminent danger to its young life. Seconds before Sundari launches her assault, T25 emerges through the trees, padding steadily towards her. Sundari halts and steps back. She cannot believe her eyes. Her aggression, evident by her body language, is suddenly held in check. T25 does not miss a step. He continues to walk towards her. Sundari knows she is no match for T25, but she holds her ground. The waving of her upturned tail, a gesture of friendship towards T25. Surprisingly, T25 shows no intention of harming her either. He stops, nose to nose, nearly paw to paw. In the long, agonizing moments that pass, it seems T25's message is clear. These are his cubs now, and Sundari has to stay away.
This sort of behavior clearly sends us a signal that T25 male is trying to save the species and save these two cubs. And yes, it is giving good protection to the cubs, and they are doing right now quite fine.
This one act as guardian cements the bonds between the two cubs and their newfound father. And moves it out of the narrow confines of the valley. There are some ties that defy logic and reason, but these are the ties that bind. They are family now. Life in a forest is always unpredictable, although there is no denial from the fact that these cubs are on their own now. There is no telling what the future has in store for the two sisters. But they have survived so far, and this itself is a cause for celebration.